How's it going, everybody? Damon Serafino here. Welcome to the Long Game Podcast. I'm here with
Clay Barrow.
I was gonna hype you up today.
Oh, shoot.
I haven't done it in about 10 episodes or so.
Okay.
I was gonna give you full hype, but you ruined it.
I'm
and
sorry.
I'm not gonna do it anymore.
That's okay. I guess next episode.
Nope,
but
no,
it's fine.
that you one
I'm
chance
a
you
little
blew
bit
it.
sad.
Okay, so this morning I woke up before my alarm, which top 10 best feeling as a human. You can't even argue against it, and if you argue against it, you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I woke up, went to use the bathroom right away, and I had a little boogie in my nose, and I don't have tissues, okay? I just use toilet paper. I know that's not financially the best thing, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the best thing to do is. But then as I'm pulling it off, I was pulling the whole tube off the roll, and I was going to pick up the roll and like hold it to my ear so I don't have to bend down, okay? Because, my little toilet paper stands at poop level, not at sneeze level. And as I was pulling it off, I dropped the whole thing in the toilet.
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
So that's how my morning started today. I stood there and laughed.
No.
It was funny.
It's good it wasn't your phone. That would have sucked.
Well, I'm not a doom scroll and poop kind of guy. I know you
Okay.
probably are.
Dang, that's crazy.
I know.
No comment.
How was your last bathroom experience? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh my goodness, we're going here. I took a shower.
Okay.
That's about it. Listened to some dubstep music. I don't know. I was feeling it.
What are you in middle school in 2016? Holy.
I was hyping myself up for the podcast. Okay.
Like
get in the right headspace.
He was pre-gaming for the podcast. Like it's like Game 7 of the World Series.
Probably like Lainey, we share a bathroom, and so she probably heard my music too. Sorry, but it is what it is. Just got to get ready for the podcast.
Yeah. Listen, today I'm not feeling down. I'm not playing the victim mentality today, okay? Despite my toilet paper falling in the toilet paper, I have 7 more rolls on the top of my cabinet, and it was just a funny moment to laugh. So that was my top 10 worst transition probably into an episode. But we're talking about victim mentality. Question mark. Very specifically question mark.
Mm-hmm.
So Clay, what does that mean? What even is victim mentality? How is that going to relate to the podcast episode we're talking about today?
Yeah, so there's just so many things that I hate in this world, so many things that bother me. I just really don't like it when people aren't walking in wisdom, and as Christians, I totally believe that we should hate evil, we should fight against lies, and one of those lies is victim mentality. And this is the mentality that everybody else in my life is wrong. I have no control over my life. God may have blessed other people. He definitely didn't bless me. I just wasn't given a good, deck of cards for my life. My life has been so difficult. And I do want to be careful here because I know that, trauma, abuse, terrible things in our past, those are absolutely real. But I also believe that no matter what has happened to you in the past, it doesn't mean you can't create a better future for your life. And so there's so many people that are stuck in this victim mentality, and they feel like, everything around them, they're stuck. There's nothing that they can do to control their life. And I just believe that this is lies from the enemy, and we do have agency over our life, and we can take control over it.
And it is true. Some people do get dealt a worse hand. Some people, like the baseball analogy, start on third base. Some people start out in the parking lot,
Yeah.
depending on race, depending on your family and what wounds you have to heal from or addiction patterns you have to break.
What class you're in, like middle class, lower class, high class. It just depends on finances as well.
And there's good and bad in each hand dealt. And one thing I think of too is like Walt Disney.
Okay.
I just think of like he just like kept trying, and then like he was like in his 30s, or it was like not until his 40s, maybe even later. I don't even know, but it wasn't until later.
Older. Yeah.
He was older in life until he like had his big success, and so like that didn't just come overnight. That takes of like hard work, discipline, trying over and over and over again. And so maybe it's not going to come in your 20s or even in your 30s, but we're trying to become people of love. Each year trying to be transformed closer into the image of Jesus day in and day out. And sometimes that's not going to show. That might not show today. It might not show tomorrow, but it definitely, like, you want it to pay dividends when you're 40s and your 50s, 60s, 70s, and you're in when you can have more money and when you can mentor more people, pastor more people. And so that's kind of one example I think of.
Yeah. So today we're going to go through 4 lies, and they have to do with the victim mentality, lies that our world will try to teach you, lies that they'll try to tell you to get you down, to keep you stuck in this victim mentality. And so the first lie that I've heard, and I've heard this many times in my life, and it's that part of life is that you're going to have to be in debt. Debt is just part of being in this world. Debt is a good thing, and it can help you in your life. I've heard this when it comes to student loans. I remember I had a teacher, she was a science teacher, and she was teaching that, all of you, you're about to go into college, and she's like, go to college, do it. It doesn't matter if you get into student loan debt. You're going to be able to pay it off through your whole entire life. You're going to be okay. I think she even said, like, I'm still paying off my student loans. It's just a part of life, and it's okay for you to have student loans. Another one that I've heard before is it's okay to have a high car payment. Everybody has a car payment. Nobody can actually afford a car and put cash down on it and pay for the whole thing outright. And I feel like it's just a normal thing for people to have a monthly car payment of more than $500. And I believe that's a lie. That's not truth. Another thing I hear all the time is credit card debt is normal. Credit card debt's okay. I keep watching all these videos and they're talking about, I paid for my Disney trip all on credit card, and we're just going to worry about it later. And that's fine. Like everybody does. Everybody has credit card debt. It's fine. Another thing that I hear is, go into debt for your house. You got to buy the nicest house possible. The housing market, it's going to keep going up. They're like, buy the biggest house that you can with the down payment that you can afford, with the mortgage that you can afford. And as long as you can pay for it with your paycheck every single week, just do it. Get into house debt. It doesn't matter. It's fine. And I totally believe, a house is a big purchase, and most people can't afford a house outright. But I'm talking about these people who are saying, buy the biggest house that you probably can't afford. The housing market's just going to keep going up. I remember I would carpool with this guy to church on Sundays, and he's probably, 20 or 30 years older than me, and he was giving advice. And he just goes, all right, I'm going to share with you like the best wisdom I've ever learned. He said, at all costs, buy a house. He's like, that's what you do. Everybody needs a house. At all costs, buy a house. And it doesn't matter how expensive it is. If you can afford it, buy that house. The housing market's just going to keep going up. It's okay. Just buy a house. And I thought about it and I didn't feel right about it. And his intentions were well-meaning. He wasn't trying to hurt me by any means. But I was like, do I really want to go into debt, and do I want to be house poor? Because it's like, I could buy a really nice house, but if all of my money is going towards that house and I can't afford anything else, that means I'm house poor. And so I think it's on us as Christians to be like, all right, I'm going to take ownership of my finances. I'm going to be in charge of this. I'm going to figure out, what am I spending my money on? And I think that there's so many great resources out there. I think of Dave Ramsey. He has the baby steps to become a millionaire. It's called Financial Peace University. And many churches, they do this for free. They offer it for free. They make it so that, we're going to help you get out of debt. The one that I really love, it's called Money Guys. They're these YouTube channel. They have a podcast, and they're really good at helping you once you're out of debt to build wealth for your retirement and build wealth, in every area of your life. And I found that I've learned more from these two people, from Dave Ramsey and the Money Guys, than I ever learned in college in any of my finance classes. And education is free. That's the thing about education. There's so many great resources out there, and it's completely free.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot going through my mind. I think the most common one is probably credit card. Everyone's got a credit card, and it's something like 50% of credit card holders have like debt. And I don't know. Some people, like, I know, is it Warren Buffett's like, oh, I don't have a credit card. Is that him?
I know Dave Ramsey does. I'm not sure about Warren
maybe
Buffett.
Maybe I'm thinking of Dave Ramsey.
Sure.
I think that's who it was. I was thinking maybe it's both. Who knows? No, you're right, because Warren Buffett has a different thing to say about credit cards. You're right. And I think credit cards are good if you use them right. I know some people will say, oh, don't use a credit card. Well, I have a credit card, and I put like all my purchases on that. And it generates like fly miles, so whenever I need to go like visit family and stuff like that, I never have to pay for a flight, and I use it in that way, and I think that's like a wise way to do it.
Absolutely. And I would say one gripe with Dave Ramsey. He talks about cut up your credit card, nobody needs it, but the thing that the Money Guys say is, no, it's if you're
It's a
using a credit
tool.
card responsibly, you can build interest, build up your credit score. That'll help you buy a house in the future,
Yeah.
buy cars in the future. I don't think that credit cards are inherently evil, but I think that if people aren't using them wisely, then it can become a problem in your life.
Yeah, for example, when I was 18, I got my own, and then I was able to buy like a obviously put me into debt. Like obviously when you buy a car, but like sometimes there's a book I'm reading. I just showed you it actually, and I don't even remember the guy or the title, but
Just pull it out. Here, pull it
um
out. It's right here.
it's he was saying like how there's actually like can be good types of debt, like getting a house. Like you don't need a house. Like I don't think house is a need, not a want. Shelter is isn't, or sorry, I said that the other way around. House is a want, but shelter is a need. And like if you can use your house, buy a house and like steward it for the kingdom of God, that's a good thing. Same like, but sometimes like if your commute is 40 minutes to work, and that's just like it is what it is, like you do need a car. I think in that reality, you can try to take public transit, but like we were just talking about it, you can like downgrade. You don't need like a brand new car. You don't need a sports car. And so there's ways to be financially sound and like not, and like maybe like refinance your car, or I don't know, there's ways to do that. But yeah, like I'd say like going to debt is just a horrible thing, because like going back to the student loan example you were talking about, I mean, I know so many friends that are like 100K in the hole. And then, I mean, they're going to spend that whole paying it off their entire life. They're literally a slave to it. Like in God's kingdom, I think it's not spending and then saving and then giving. It's giving, then saving, then spending. How can we be good stewards? If we're a slave to what we need to pay off our debts based on decisions we've made, we can't use that money for God's kingdom, whether it's financially supporting a missionary or giving to the poor, buying someone a meal. You just can't be steward your money in a God way if half your money is going to a house and to a car and to student loans. And so that's why I think it's really important not to have debt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally believe that nobody else is going to figure out your finances for you. It's on us individually to figure out your finances and work through it and educate yourselves on these things. And there's this quote, and it changed everything for me, and I don't remember where I read it, but I come back to it, every once in a while. And it's that there's a direct correlation between how much financial wisdom you have and the amount of money you'll have. And so, the Bible, it talks so much about money stewardship, not idolizing money, how to steward it well, what to do with your money, how to be generous with your money. And that's real applicable wisdom that we can use every day. And so the more that you're reading your Bible, the more wisdom and knowledge that you have on money, the more money you're going to have. And even though you may not even have a ton of money, but you may have more gratitude and may not compare yourself to other people as much. You may not idolize money, and there's so much freedom in that.
I want to go back to spending real quick, because one thing that I just see, I saw growing up a lot, I see especially in young adults, that can translate into your 30s and 40s, is this idea of like always needing to spend. Like as young adults, what do we do all the time? We got to eat all the time. Already in high school, it's like, oh, do you want to? Oh, let's just go to Chipotle. Okay, that's $10 one day, and the next day you go to Cane's. The next day you go out to Chili's. Like, okay, that's almost like $60+ And if you spend that $60 on groceries, okay, maybe not in this economy, but for $100, you can like eat really healthy and be full for the entire week on $100 ish. I believe, maybe even the $60. Who knows? And so you could like steward your money better in that. And then two, like, I think you got to check your heart of like, do you love things more than you love God? Like, do you like the clicking of the button on Amazon or eBay or Walmart online or whatever, or going to the store and buying the new purse, buying the new whatever it is, or I know thrifting's a big thing. Do you like thrifting, but like when we could be taking on the rhythm of simplicity, that is the way of Jesus, I believe. And you just got to check your heart, because too, if you start spending less, if you always, spend less than you make, then you'll always, like gain wealth over time. And I just think some of us are overspending, so we have to go into debt, whether it's credit cards, student loans, yada, yada. Or it's just where we could be, like, let's say we spend let's say you spend $1,000 on useless crap throughout a month or a couple months. If you even cut that in like half, that's 500 more bucks you could be investing. You could be saving, building emergency. There's just so many things you could be doing with that. And so I know we could do a whole episode on just that debt, but that's just where I'll end my thing on that lie. And so you can control it. There's resources out there. What's like the one resource? Like if you're like someone's feeling really overwhelmed, they're feeling really convicted, what is one resource? Like what website should they go to? Books should they read? Podcasts? What is it?
Yeah, I would say that if you're in debt and you're in so much mental pain, there's so much difficulty, you feel extremely overwhelmed, I would say the best resource to go to is Dave Ramsey. And he's got so many different courses. There's so many helpful links on their website that
What's the name of that website?
Ramsey Solutions. Yeah, it's a company that he started. They offer Financial Peace University, all the baby steps. Now, I would say if you're out of debt and want to know how to build wealth, how to save for retirement, how to buy a house and cars, all of it, I would say the Money Guys are your best resource. And they're all over Spotify, all over YouTube. They have their own website. I believe it's just moneyguys.com. They have tons of resources as well. Tons of different like calculators for, to calculate how much car can I afford? How much house can I afford? And they're so practical. It's two guys who are financial advisors, and those guys have so much wisdom. So I would definitely direct you to either Dave Ramsey or the Money Guys.
I loved all of that. Thanks for sharing those resources.
Awesome.
Let's move on to lie number 2.
All right, lie number 2, and we've heard this one many times. We've talked about it many times on our podcast, and it's the lie that if I attend church on Sundays, I'm good. I don't need to do anything else. My life, it may be tough. I may be stuck in this victim mentality, but it doesn't matter. Like if I go to church, God's going to solve all of it. All I need to do is just go to church. What do you think about this one, Damon?
Oof, there's a lot there. I think, so at the church I work at, the app for someone who is an attender who calls Crossroad Church their home, they attend about maybe once or twice a month in person. So it's actually not even every week we see. And on top of that, so there's some people who'll only come on Easter and Christmas and say, oh, this is like the church I attend. I would go out on a limb. This is a hot take. Sure. And salvation is God's to judge. We talked about this, I think, last week or a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And but if you're only showing up to church that often, and you're able, obviously, elderly people, or if you're sick, or like very real things, like I don't know, like you can't drive, but maybe ask someone in church to drive. There's things around that. But there are generally some people who can't be around church anymore because they're sick, whatever the case may be. But if you're like an able-bodied person, you're able to go to church every week. I would say most people aren't following Jesus. Maybe they're saved, maybe they're not, but they're definitely not being discipled by the Holy Spirit, I'd say. Because I think we're supposed to always be in community. We see in Acts how they met in the temple courts, but they also met in homes all the time. So they were breaking bread daily with other Christians. They were constantly in community. They were constantly praying, constantly teaching, constantly seeing the Spirit move. We see that we're supposed to be doers of the word. We're supposed to be serving one another. We're supposed to be using our spiritual gifts to serve one another. 1 Peter, I think, 3. 1 Corinthians 12, 13, 14. 1 Titus. We're supposed to be using the gifts to build one another up in love. You do that by being around other Christians. And honestly, too, if you are really following the way of Jesus, you would see that being in church every single week is the most life-giving thing for you. I would say, I don't know, and if you're oh, I'm too busy, oh, I don't have time. Okay, then stop doing stuff. Stop doing so much. We're called to live, I think, a way of simplicity and stuff and in time, because every time you say yes to something, it's 1,000 no's. Church is probably one of those no's. And so it's just, and I think for most people listening, maybe if you are that person, get in church every week. Maybe you know someone who's doing this. They just are loving other thing. Their heart and their loves are out of priority. It's not God, then flag football and this and this and this. It's something else is on the throne of their heart above God, and you have to show them that isn't inherently right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's many people that attend church and go, oh, all I need to do is go to church once a week. I'm going to attend and see great worship. I'm going to hear from, a funny pastor. My life is fine. I don't need to go to church. But I truly believe that God wants to bless you way more than just going to church once a week. I believe that there's so much more blessings when we actually press in, when we actually decide hey, I'm going to prioritize God. I'm going to prioritize my faith. I'm going to do more than just go to church. I think that one of those blessings that comes with going to, doing more than just going to church is serving at a church, serving every single week. Why? Because you'll develop a community. You'll get people with, similar likes, similar interests to you. You can serve in kids ministry or on the production team
Youth
or greet people as they walk in. Youth ministry, absolutely. And you're going to make friendships there. You're going to get to know people. You're going to develop real community that's not fake. Also, another way that I believe is so great to get more involved at church and not just attend it once a week is, attending a weekly Bible study, maybe starting a weekly Bible study, be in your word, absolutely, learn God's word. Why? Because you're going to find so much blessing in it. My life has changed completely because now I understand the Bible. I understand the context of the Bible. I remember back when I had no idea what the Bible was talking about, and I was just living in so much unknown sin. I was living in comparison. My life was so much more difficult. But now understanding who God is, who I am, having a community to read through the Bible with together, that's deeply blessed my life. And I'm so grateful for that. Another way is just pray. Pray for 20 minutes a day. Set aside 20 minutes a day. God wants to hear from you. He wants to help you through your problems. No matter how much sin you're in, how much difficulty you're going through, God is right there and he wants to hear from you. He wants to be like a father who's helping his son work through life and get through everything. And it takes small things. It takes small steps. And you probably know this too, Damon, but when someone decides that they want to be a volunteer on your team and they want to serve consistently and they're doing a good job, we're going to give them more. We're going to give them more responsibility. And maybe they're going to become a group leader, a leader in your small groups at youth. If you feel like your life is worthless and you don't have a purpose in your life, serve at church and you're going to find, man, my purpose is probably leading this small group of middle school guys and helping them get closer to the Lord. That's so fulfilling. There's so much fulfillment in that. And I feel like this world, it just offers you so much emptiness and so many lies. And, you at church, you can actually have a life that you look forward to and you're excited about because you're deeply helping people get closer to the Lord.
Yeah, and honestly too, like I would encourage you to like serve in like a harder ministry too. Oh, and what do I mean by that? There are some ministries that it's incredibly easy to serve in, like, and we need greeters. Yes, like I think hot take, some people are anointed to greet.
Mm-hmm.
Our boy Walter at church,
Shout
out him because he's just such a bright face. And that's like, it fits his personality. It fits his, like, I think his skills and giftings. Like, people are business people. Like, they're like some of like the really really good greeters. But then there's like some jobs that are harder within the church. I think are definitely like the teaching ones, like within youth ministry, within some of like leading teams within like maybe like leading in a production team, right? Maybe you're not the camera guy, but you're leading the people who lead it, or it's like you're helping the connections director at your church and helping them plan and setting up all the events. Like I would say, like press in. Like don't just try to do like the easiest thing to say you're serving. Like I'd say like join some of the harder ministries, like in next gen ministry, like youth and kids. It's definitely, and I know it's incredibly biased, but I think it's like way harder than anything else. But it is like the most fulfilling because to be able to serve in it, you have to be on fire for God. You can't not read your Bible. You can't not pray and serve and pour out because you'll burn out. Your life will suck when you're trying to pour out from an empty cup.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, so that was lie 2, and lie 3 is this. It's that everyone has their vices, everyone has their own bad habits, might as well give in. I feel like we compare ourselves to so many people. We go like, oh, I'm a strong Christian, and that person, they say they're a strong Christian, and they give in to, drinking every single Friday night and Saturday night. I'm not as bad as them. I might as well drink a little bit. Everybody has their own vices. Everybody has their own things that they turn to when their life isn't going great. I might as well give in to that as well. And I think that is such a slippery slope. What do you think, Damon?
I think of a story of recently I was playing a little game of hockey with some dudes, and we were in like the playoffs, and at the end of the game, like we were playing and we were doing really good all season, but then they just had to like quit, like, and the game was still going on, arguing with the refs. And these are like men who are in their like 40s, 50s, like adult men, and it's like just like rec league. And I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, well, I guess we just quit with like 5 minutes left. And in that moment, I was like, wow, like the emotional unhealth in these adults is insane. I'm a child compared to these guys. And I think like when we are emotionally exhausted and have poor emotional health, when you get older, like we just keep depending on our vices. And like, why do I tell a story about emotional health? Is that when things aren't going our way, maybe we're tired, frustrated, angry, or the whole acronym hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, is that we rely on things that are other than God, but we need to have the emotional intelligence to recognize, hey, I'm hungry or I'm angry, lonely, or tired. I just want to like give up. I don't want to be disciplined. I want to watch porn, drink, I don't know, talk to more girls on Instagram or Snapchat or guys or whatever spend more, whatever the vice is, insert your vice. But having a moment to pause, realize where you're at mentally, emotionally, maybe even physically, pause, halt, and then pray about it. Call a friend to do something about it. Because if not, you'll be like, those guys 40, 50 years down the line, and you don't want to be someone who's just, you don't get to see the fullness of God in your life because you were constantly relying on the bottle, constantly relying on medication instead of relying on spirit. And in the midst of that, God wants to transform you. He wants to like, First Peter is at 1. It's that you're like gold being refined in the fire. John 15, like Jesus wants to prune the dead things away so that, like good fruit can grow, that it blesses you, but then ultimately like blesses other people.
Absolutely. And sometimes it only takes one small decision, one time going through that HALT acronym, one time, actually taking a look in the mirror and one prayer to God. And yeah, sometimes it only takes one time for you to decide, I'm going to finally get rid of this addiction to pornography, to alcohol, to overeating, negative self-talk. Maybe your addiction is thinking too much about the past, thinking too much about past relationships, ways you've messed up, past hurts from other people. And it only takes one small decision to decide, I'm going to take agency over my life. I'm going to start going to therapy and work through my past hurts, my past relationship hurts, my breakups, my trauma, difficulties in my childhood. No more pointing fingers at other people. I'm done pointing fingers at other people. I'm going to fix my problem before trying to fix other people's problems, before trying to point out the speck in other people's eye. I'm going to work through my own issues. And, we hear this every time that we're on the plane. In order to be able to help out other people, you have to put on your own oxygen mask first. You can't help out other people. You can't help people put on their oxygen mask, get through their difficulties if you're struggling with the exact same thing. So I think it takes that looking in the mirror and deciding once and for all, I'm done with this and I'm going to work through this with God.
That's good.
Awesome. All right. Live 4. And this one I may get flamed for. I don't know. We were talking about it before the podcast.
Lay it down.
This may be our last podcast we've ever done. And if it is, that you know why, okay? But this is the 4th lie that so many people believe. And it's that when people say, I just have a high metabolism, I'm always going to be this size. There's nothing I can do about it. Don't flame me. But I totally believe that one small decision can make the world of a difference. And here's what we should be saying instead. We should be saying, I'm going to take ownership over my health. No more eating junk food as much. No more eating out as much. I'm going to work out twice a week. I'm going to use that gym membership I haven't used in a year. I'm going to start working out. I haven't worked out in so long. I can't remember the last time I worked out, but I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start small. Maybe I want to work out once a week, then maybe 2 times a week, then 3 times a week, which is probably all you need realistically. You probably only need to work out 3 times a week in order to be healthy. I'm going to stop getting caught in this live comparison to other people, other people's bodies. I'm going to stack up small wins every single week. And in a year from now, you're not even going to be able to recognize me at all. And I'll just say from my personal experience, I've been there. I remember middle school was so difficult. I remember in 7th grade, I was so skinny and so insecure. And I had these 2 hoodies that I would wear. And I would switch off between wearing these hoodies every single day. I would just wear one of these 2 hoodies for a whole entire year in 7th grade. I was so insecure. And whenever someone would talk about, oh, like this person looks strong or, this person's extremely weak, I would get so insecure and I would almost shut down. It was probably the most stressful time of my life. And so I decided, no, I'm done being stuck. I don't want to be stuck in this. And through sports, through different trainers that I had at my high school, I started working out consistently. And I started small, but built consistently, worked out all the way through high school, all the way through college. Even now, I work out 2 or 3 times a week. And I will say that there are some days that are difficult, but for the most part, I don't get caught in that comparison. And if I see someone else I can tell is getting stronger and working out in the gym, I don't get intimidated by that anymore. I compliment them. I'm like, dude, you've been working out. Like, you look great. Wow, what's your workout program? And yeah, I think that there's so many people out there that are just stuck in this comparison. Yeah, stuck in feeling like, oh, my body, there's nothing I can do about it. But we need to take initiative and take accountability of our lives and decide, hey, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to get this figured out.
Yeah, we're called to be stewards of our temples. Like, our bodies are not ours, they're God's, and we need to be honoring God with them. I think Christians should be the healthiest, strongest people on the planet, but I don't think we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not just working out, but a good place to start to is eating healthier. I know we talked about it briefly, but recently I've been doing a diet, and it removed everything, and then it's been adding stuff. Oh, I was supposed to add stuff back in, but then kind of just staying the course because I feel so much better. And it removed like gluten and dairy and seed oil, soy, and all these like things that they're called inflammatories. I'm not saying this like I knew anything crazy about this, but like they call the gut the second mind. And if your gut's not right, your body's not right.
It affects everything.
And so I'm probably lactose intolerant because I haven't had dairy for like 2-3 months, and I feel amazing. And all it took was just stop eating junk. Like, I love pizza, but pizza is just cheese, bread, and sugar, if you break it down that way. Or you break down, what's another thing that I was thinking about that I love recently? Cookies. It's just it's just sugar and
straight sugar.
It's just straight sugar, know? And you remove those things and you feel so much better. You eat clean. You don't eat processed food. And I feel so amazing over the last few months. And so I just want to encourage you to do some research. Maybe consult a doctor if you're going to do something crazy extreme, because if you are allergic to, if you're celiac, but your body just used to processing it, and then you go no bread for 30 days and introduce bread, and you might not be able to eat it again. I'm not a doctor, so don't take my advice, but I just think there's ways to eat clean, eat more fruits and veggies, so.
Yeah, and I think, we just so easily get caught up in a funk, and we tell ourselves these lies, all 4 of these lies, that my life is never going to change. I'm just going to have to deal with these for my whole entire life. There's nothing I can do. Maybe I'll figure this out eventually. And the truth is, yeah, absolutely. This life is tough. There's going to be difficulties in your life. But if you're not active in building wisdom, if you're not active in growing and taking ownership over your life, this world's going to rob you over and over again. It's going to try to steal, kill, and destroy, take advantage of you and trick you. And so I'll just encourage you guys, talk to God, pray this with me right now, pray, God, I've been passive. I'm taking ownership over my life right now. Can you work together, and can we work through this and build discipline in me? God, I'm starting to believe in this area of my life that it's just never going to get better. I'm always going to be stuck. Can you help me with that? Show me the truth, God. Would you please walk with me through this and guide me through this? Make me into someone with strong faith, into someone that others look up to because of their work ethic, God, because I serve others, because I'm strong in faith. Be there with me, God, and help me through these difficulties and these lies that this world is trying to teach me.
Yeah, the enemy wants you to be passive. I mean, it's similar, but not exactly. But if the enemy can't, make you sin, he'll keep you busy. And I think passivity is within that too. Like what's your screen time? What are you doing outside of church? How are you working too much? Is that a problem? Are you not spending enough time in community? How are you? Maybe it's too much time. Maybe you're just doing recreation, and maybe just take a few hours a week to work out, to audit your finances, to read a book, to do something productive that'll benefit your future family, future spouses, and honor God ultimately.
It's good. I think that's a great place to end. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We're praying for you. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. This really goes such a long way for us, and we'll see you next week.
See you.